This boy had never, ever heard a message from God. I would call that a dry spell. When you go through a dry spell, it's like you can't hear from God. You're seeking God. You'll be in a meeting and somebody will prophesy to the person to the left of you and to the right of you. And you will feel like the invisible man, the invisible woman. It's like, Lord, can you throw a little something, something for you? And here's the terrible thing. God could even be using you to speak and bless other people. And then you're like, I mean, really? And you feel like the invisible man. It's a dry spell. It's a dry season. And you see, here's the thing, is that when you go through a dry spell in your life, you don't let your faith rest in the manifest presence of God, but in the omnipresence of God. Whenever your life goes through a dry spell, don't let your faith rest in the manifest presence where you just feel the Shekinah glory, you quickening in the spirit. What do you do when you're not quickening? When you don't feel the anointing? You have to trust in the omnipresent God who said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. You trust in the omnipresent God whether you can see him or not. Remember Jacob? He had a vision and saw this ladder come down, and he said, surely God is in this place, and I did not know it. Just because you can't feel him does not mean he's not there. You remember the psalmist said, he says, where can I flee from your presence? But take the wings of the morning and fly to the uttermost parts of the sea. Even there shall you lead me, and your hand will guide me. You know, it's like he was communicating to us that there's no place that you can go to get away from God's presence. You can't get away from God's presence, even though you're not always able to sense it, even though you're not always able to see it. But it doesn't mean that God is not present just because you don't see him. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. So when you don't feel the manifest presence of God, trust the omnipresence. Trust the omnipresence whenever you're going through a difficult time. Do you know how fickle feelings are? And feelings are not facts. Feelings are so fickle. There are some times if you live by your feelings, you would have murdered your spouse many times. Or they would have murdered you. Many. You can't live by your feelings. You don't. How can a marriage last because you feel? You may feel this way one day, but just hang in there, baby. It'll turn around. It'll turn. And then some of the best marriages, they'll be like, you know what? You can't live by your feelings. You live by your faith. Maturity is being able to remain consistent to your commitments long after the emotions have passed. Long after you got this, thing where you've been hanging on the telephone for hours and y'all for nights in a row and y'all staying up to 2 and 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And, but you say bye first. See, consistency, I mean, it's not sexy, but we like what it produces. Consistency, this is praying when you don't feel like praying. It is practicing when you're already tired. It is studying when you are sleepy. It's getting up to exercise when your body is still sore from the last workout. It is working when you are still fatigued. I mean, you don't do it because you feel like doing it. You feel like doing it. I know that there are a lot of folks in here that get up and go to work when you don't feel like getting up and going. But you can't live your life by your feelings. But let me just tell you, consistency is the new sexy. If a man will come home consistently and bring his money home consistently, oh girl, you need to almost orgasm when you see that. Responsible is the new sexy. It's like, oh, girl, you mean this man will go to the grocery store? Ooh, yeah. He will cook and clean up the kitchen. Ooh. He will clean up after himself and put his clothes up. Responsible is so sexy. Woo. Intelligent is the new sexy. You don't have to be looking at all of that. You don't have to be just a stud like that in your looks, but intelligent is so sexy. Because there are some good-looking, ignorant people The problem is it doesn't last, and it'll get on your nerve. You'll be out with somebody and they are too ignorant to know how to order in the restaurant, embarrassing you with their country, awkward, uncouth self, saying all kind of country stuff, and it's like, baby, just shut up when they go. I'm going to take you to meet my family this week, but just don't say nothing. Just look at me, and Intelligence is so sexy. Being responsible is so sexy. Being consistent is so sexy. How do you think security, men, is built in women? It is when they see the consistency of your actions. See, the moment that you break your consistency, well, he's normally here by 5:30, and now it's 6:45, and they're looking for you, and your consistency of your pattern. See, the consistency produces security and stability for the relationship. And the moment you break your consistency, you destabilize the security of the relationship. Does that mean anything to you? That's why I'm just telling you, consistency. It's underrated in our society. You don't find anybody giving awards out to people who have been consistent in their character, in their diligence, in coming there. We just don't really celebrate the most consistent employee that we've had. We want to give, come on, Jane Doe. You know, you don't find them celebrating consistency. It's always a top seller. It's always a person who's done this and done that and done the other. But consistency is worth being celebrated, because everything that is worth having and the excellence, the mastery of anything is the result of consistency in it. Mastery is the result of consistency in practice. It is the result of consistency. You talk to some Olympic gold medalists, and you'll find a consistency in their practice schedule.